Hello everyone, Kato Genesis here, with something a little different for tips and tricks. I started up Legend of Mana Remastered thinking, oh, I'm just gonna enjoy this. This is gonna be a good time, good nostalgia trip. And my brain would not stop thinking of tips and tricks for this game, so here you go. It's not really my niche, but this is more to get the information out of my brain for the knowledge I've kept for the last 20 years, and to help new players get into Legend of Mana Remastered and know what to expect. So here are this many tips and tricks I wish I knew when I first began playing Legend of Mana. In spite of this action RPG's beautiful and cute art direction, Legend of Mana is deceptively complex in the mechanics department. If you approach this game as you would an open world rather than a linear story, you're sure to have a good time in this gem of an action RPG. The storytelling style of Legend of Mana takes an open world kind of disjointed approach, like I said before. However, there's three main quest lines that will make the end of the game appear when one of them concludes. So if you're working with Dragoons, that's Lark and Sierra, or the Jumi, Elasul and Pearl, or against fairies with Dana or Escad, you're on the right track. It's probably easier just to say, if you pay attention to the characters in the anime intro, they have an important role to play in the story and getting to the end of the game. At the start of the game, you choose your language, then between the male or female protag. Who you choose doesn't make a difference in gameplay aside from the obvious dialogue pronouns. The starting weapon you choose, however, will grant a free special technique for that weapon. You won't be locked to that single weapon though. In Domina's shop, you'll be able to purchase every other type of weapon if you reconsider or want to experiment with other weapons. The third choice in the beginning will be your play area. It's going to be your world map for this playthrough, or the blank canvas for your world map in this playthrough. Most of the time your play area and where you place artifacts won't matter unless you want to do perfect placements to trigger every quest. But if it's especially your first time through, go with the play area that feels right to you. A couple quality of life features found their way into the remaster. You can now save anywhere from the options menu and also turn off enemy encounters if you want to navigate an area unhindered. The jungle and the Tower of Leers are notorious for backtracking, so I strongly recommend disabling encounters at those spots if you tend to get stuck. Now that saving whenever you want is a thing, as well as autosaves, be sure to rotate your manual saves between 2 to 3 slots. Sometimes you might run into a situation you weren't prepared for, or a boss you can't seem to beat. If you rely on autosaves for the majority of your playtime, you might end up at a hurdle you can't surpass and lose a bunch of progress. One situation that comes to mind where autosaves do help a lot is when you first meet Elasul in Domina's cafe. When he's interrogating Rachel, you'll have 3 dialogue prompts, and if you answer wrong, he'll leave in a huff. While Elasul can ask to rejoin you later, inviting him to your party the first time will save you some time because you still need to talk to Rachel to get the Jade Egg artifact to place the location you need to go. Returning fans who played the PlayStation 1 version of Legend of Mana might be immediately confused when their muscle memory kicks in for battles. Yes, the control scheme has changed to a more standardized format, at least that's what I'm guessing. If you're using a controller for this version and want the original battle experience, here's the combat controls from the original game. Legend of Mana will leave you directionless on multiple occasions, and this game likes to use old school talk to everyone logic for some of the quests. So if you are stumped, backtrack and talk to NPCs in your path. They might give you a clue on what to do next. If you're really stumped, hopefully you can check with the fortune teller in Domina, because sometimes she gives quest hints as well. The max level of Legend of Mana is 99. But everyone starts at 1, and Chaban Hoods in Luan Highway are great enemies for leveling early. These guys drop both a ton of EXP crystals as well as bows to sell or use yourself. Legend of Mana has local cooperative play, and with Steam at least, you're able to remote play as well, which is co-op over streaming, basically. Thankfully, the manual and automatic control settings are available at any time from the start menu too, so if your second player walks out for any reason, you don't have to wait for them to be able to move around the map. Something that can be easily missed now that this control toggle is a constant feature is that you can also import player characters to your game too, so long as it's in your local saves. This is activated by speaking to Reverend Nouvelle in the Domina Church and asking him about 2-player co-op. Once you do that, you'll be able to use the house to the left of the inn to access other player characters in your local saves. And once they leave your team, their stats will be updated too. There is a huge benefit to playing co-op with another player save, because they'll be teaching you their abilities and special techniques for their weapon too. That's something a player-controlled NPC cannot share. The ally AI can go from dumb to downright frustrating when you're trying to level them. So aside from just getting someone to play co-op with you, I recommend getting yourself the Forbidden Ring, which shares the EXP crystals you pick up with your team. You can obtain the Forbidden Ring pretty early after you've placed the Luan Highway, assuming you were with Niccolo initially. Take care of his unusual business, then afterwards head to Domina. Dana will be in one of the inn's rooms. Speaking to her will trigger her quest to see Gaia, and afterwards, she'll reward you with the Forbidden Ring. Among the deceptive mechanics I mentioned near the start are abilities and special techniques. Abilities are customizable and include moves like lunge, jump, defend, and crouch. To unlock more, the only thing that does matter is if they are equipped and you're winning battles. The same system is used for learning special techniques, or STs, for the weapon you have equipped. These are your powerful attacks that you can execute after your ST bar has filled during a fight. Some major and extreme STs require more than 2 abilities to unlock, so how is that done? Well, each ability has a hidden mastery score. The more fights they are equipped for, the more that counter goes up. So if you've been hoping for new abilities or STs for your weapons and it's been 10 battles or more, try switching abilities to something else for another 10 battles. After your first couple of fights, you'll start to notice that standard heavy attacks are slow, lock you in an animation, and are generally cumbersome to use. This isn't the only way to do heavy attacks though. In fact, there are numerous heavy attacks that can be pulled off with fighting game-like directional inputs. These are shown as master moves in your weapon stats, but don't explain how you do them. First is the thrust attack, which is forward, forward, heavy attack button. Second is the uppercut, which is done by holding down and forward and pressing the heavy attack. Then finally, there's the jump attack, which is back, forward, then heavy attack. These each can come off some abilities too, like if you press heavy attack after a lunge or somersault, it will turn into a jump attack. When you get to battles, the blue aura around your character when they attack represents a combo. If it disappears and reappears, the combo count resets. If you manage to execute 10 attacks without interruption, you'll drop a candy. Of course, that's harder than it sounds, since even quick attack combos for small weapons end at 5 hits. This is where abilities save the day. Some abilities extend your combos, so long as you're not mashing. So if you do a few quick attacks, then use an ability, retaining that blue aura, and then continue with your quick attacks and repeat until 10 hits, you'll drop a candy at the end of the combo and make a little pose and get yourself some free heals if need be. There is a New Game Plus with a way to change the difficulty after you've beaten the game once. After starting the game again with the same character, in your encyclopedias will now be a book called The Forbidden Tome. You can use this to keep the game at normal, switch to nightmare mode, or go for no future mode, which is basically everything's level 99. So from normal to hard to very hard, basically. Be wary that level 99 enemies have a bazillion health bars, so make sure you have a powerful weapon at that point. The advantage of cranking up enemy levels is their loot pools are tied to their levels as well. So the higher level the enemy is, the more of their loot pool is unlocked and the more rare stuff they will drop for you. Low Cactus is your adorable housemate upstairs, and if spoken to after completing a quest and leaving, he'll scramble over to his diary and write an entry about your last adventure when you go downstairs. If you want to fill out Low Cactus's diary completely, which is an achievement, you need to make sure that you speak to him after each improvement at your home. That's the orchard, the monster corral, and the workshop upgrades. These quests will not happen in New Game Plus because these add-ons carry over to New Game Plus. So this is definitely a warning for you completionists. After speaking to Gaia at Luan Highway, you'll gain the orchard at your home. Your orchard will provide you with produce as long as you provide the seeds. After a while, you might notice that there's a huge variety of produce that Trent can grow. The color of the seeds you use affects the produce the orchard will grow. So if you're looking for orange produce, use small seeds twice or combine oblong with crooked seeds. Yep, the orchard is also mechanically charged and runs on mixing seed colors for results. Once you've gotten your monster corral and musical instrument training, know that elemental spirits and monster eggs spawn in the exact same locations. These are often in places where you have fought a boss prior or dead ends in each dungeon. For each of these, you can run back and forth between areas to get them to spawn. The monster corral can hold a max of 5 monsters, but if you're going for a particular monster and don't want to wait for them to hatch, capture eggs past 5, then choose to sell a different pet. Doing this, you'll be able to tell if the eggs contain different monsters due to their different HP and power stats. If you're looking for the Envy of Niccolo achievement, there's also some serious money in dragon eggs, which will sell between 500 and 5,000 lucre if done in a similar way to checking stats. Once you get to the Feig Snowfields, which is the Frozen Heart artifact, there is a dragon egg spawn not far from the boss area. Collect dragon eggs until your corral is full, then after picking up the next egg, choose to sell a different pet. Doing it this way will let you sell stored eggs at the cost of the monster they contain, rather than the measly 10 lucre egg price. When coaxing spirits to you to get those elemental spirit coins with your instruments, know that the instruments themselves are obstacles for whatever reason. So if you choose the smallest instrument, the flute, first, it will let spirits more easily reach you when you're farming for coins, while the drum and marimba will make it harder for them. Also, it appears that the power level of instruments influences how fast the spirits will approach you, if they're interested or like your tune, that is. Smithing is nuts! Enemies do drop weapons and armor once in a while, but the best gear is of course what you can make in the smithy. The blacksmith is unlocked by doing Watts drops the hammer in the Ulcan mines. That's the bottled spirit artifact. After retrieving Watts' hammer, he'll trundle out of your workshop the next time you try to enter, launching you into the lackluster smithing tutorial. Crafting in Legend of Mana is on another level, rivaling modern games even, but it's so poorly explained in the game that online guides seem like the only way to learn how to make decent gear. So here's a short crash course. Primary materials are required for making armor and weapons, while secondary materials are used for alterations. Now for improving weapons through tempering. The simple way of increasing weapon stats is by using elemental spirit coins, the gold and silver ones that you get from spirits. Pound 4 elemental coins into a weapon and it'll get a substantial boost to its stats. The cards you see flying into your gear can fill up to 3 mystic slots at a time, seen in the status of the item. So if you continue tempering after 4 times, these mystic powers can be pushed out and make room for new ones, leaving some of the elemental essence behind so long as they're not conflicting. For altering armor, throw Dryad silver or gold into it, then add 4 needles or needle lettuce, and this makes the Bed of Thorns mystic card, which boosts defenses by a huge margin. As you can surmise, there is a complex and expensive method to make damage, defenses, and immunities completely overpowered for weapons and armor, but that would take an entire separate video to explain, so please let me know if you're interested in crafting godlike gear in Legend of Mana. I've spent a little bit of time doing that. And for a bonus tip, tell the captain you don't like the ship to leave the SS Buccaneer. When I first played this game, I distinctly remember running all over the ship trying to find a way to leave. And it's by talking to the captain and telling him you don't like the ship. Now I'd love to hear your tips and tricks or smithing recipes or pet raising tips, something related to combat, your favorite abilities, that kind of stuff for Legend of Mana. If you found these tips and tricks useful, entertaining, or both, please do whatever it is you see fit to show that. And among the things you can do is by supporting on Patreon for as little as $1, like my Wasteland Legends, Sven and Six, and the rest of the amazing supporters on screen now. Doing so will grant access to unlisted videos and not quite projects, as well as my monthly updates that contain personal stories. No matter what you do, thank you so much for watching. I'm Kato Genesis, and may you wander the world of Mana like you own it.